G'day everyone, I'm BlueBlaze, and lately I feel there has been a fair amount of talk concerning the successor to the Nintendo Switch. Therefore, I think I might discuss some of the things I would like to see a sequel system change and improve upon for its next iteration. At the end, I shall as well discuss a feature I think would be pretty neat to see on the next system that is not on the current Switch. Therefore, I shall begin discussing 10 improvements I would like to see in a Switch successor. Number 1. Less mandatory Joy-Con use. The first one on this list is not necessarily a Switch problem itself. Something I've noticed with some family and multiplayer games is when playing locally, everybody must use a single Joy-Con as opposed to being able to use another control style. Examples of this include 51 Mobile games and Super Mario Party. I feel it is quite frustrating when finding games such as them, as I find it somewhat uncomfortable to use the Joy-Con by itself and prefer to use my Pro Controller for the majority of my docked and tabletop gameplay. Number 2. Improved Joy-Cons. In leading off from that, if Nintendo choose to continue using Joy-Cons or something of the like, I feel some general improvement could help to improve the experience of controlling with them. Major things to be addressed include such things as Joy-Con drift and size. However, things such as nicer feeling grips, bigger buttons, and analog triggers, I feel could make the Joy-Cons much more appealing for normal docked use. Number 3. Powering on the system with controllers. Continuing the discussion of controllers, something I quite liked from the Wii and Wii U was the ability to turn the console on from a distance with the controller. I understand it is quite a small nitpick, however I feel it was a feature I used quite often personally. Number 4. General technical improvements. Moving back to the main system itself, one thing that makes a fair amount of sense is some general technical improvements. Basic things such as frame rate and resolution bumps with newer technology and extra features like DLSS, I feel would make for a much smoother experience overall. I as well think allowing the dock to upscale the image to 4K would be a nice addition alongside the general improvements. Number 5. More user interface character. The Switch's current user interface is smooth and snappy to use on the base set of menus. However, with its simplicity, I feel there is not much character shown through it, both in making it feel like someone's own system and general Nintendo flair. I think additional theming options, whether they be colours or background pictures and such, would help the menus feel more customizable overall. The ability to have proper folders on the main screen and more sorting options such as genre in the all software section will help people with a large number of games to sort more effectively. To help increase the character, Nintendo could add more of their own things such as music and the bottom row of icons using a selectable set of similar ones from games to represent them. Number 6. An in-depth log. Whilst there is a way to see a rough amount of how much you have played a game on the system through the profile page, it is limited to showing 20 games at a time and does not display anything in great depth. I think updating the profile with a whole section for logging play activity would be a good way to include it in the system. In addition to the log, an achievement system implemented into the profile area would be a great addition for those who want more out of their games. Alternatively, a separate application similar to the Wii U's I feel would work quite well. Number 7. eShop changes. The eShop as it currently is, works for its intended purpose. However, I feel it tends to have performance problems, lacks functionality, and makes it difficult to find things sometimes. My personal recommendation would be that of a customizable homepage, where the user can select genres and other menus and attach them to a section for easy access. Small accessibility options would be handy as well, such as an option to turn on names of the games under their icons when they are grouped together, as I sometimes personally find it difficult to read a game's title when they are stylized or blend in with their backgrounds. Improvements to performance, such as making it faster and snappier to use, would be a great addition as well, I feel. Number 8. A better Nintendo Switch Online service. I feel Nintendo Switch Online as it currently is works okay. However, there are things that could make the experience much smoother overall. The application dedicated to the service I feel is much too slow and laggy. It is difficult to get around the menu whilst waiting for it to continuously load something. Another thing I feel would be an improvement is instead of having a separate application for all of the retro systems, having them as tabs in the NSO app could keep the whole service more streamlined and contained. The last thing would be a general improvement in server and connection quality for online games overall. Number 9. Family sharing system overhaul. One of the biggest issues I had when transitioning my games and account over to my new Switch was how the games would be implemented on my previous Switch for my younger siblings. Whilst I was under the impression keeping my account there would let them play everything as normal, it ended up being somewhat of a problem to get to work correctly. The way I achieved it is by making my old Switch my primary one on my account, with the new one being secondary. This allows them to play everything with two somewhat frustrating downsides. Whenever they would like to play a game on their profiles, the majority of the time it will pop up talking about my own save files and how they are shared in the cloud, instead of going directly into the game. The other problem is that on my new Switch, when I would like to play a game that does not use a cartridge, the console will connect and approve online that I own and can play the game. Whilst not much of a worry in a house with Wi-Fi, if playing portably outside it can become somewhat of an issue if a hotspot cannot be used. I feel Xbox has the family sharing set up quite well, as there is no checking, by what I have seen at least. If the user's account is on a console, everyone can play the games. Number 10. More media transfer options. Whilst this point is more down to myself and most possibly a smaller group of people, I feel it would be a nice improvement anyways. Currently, when making my quick clips videos from media stored on my Switch, I go through one of two methods of moving them over to my computer. The first is via connecting wirelessly to the Switch and downloading each clip separately from a web browser. The other is via USB. The problem with both is the limit to how many videos can be sent across at one time. When online, this can only be done one clip at a time. Putting together how much time it takes to connect and download, I feel it takes quite a while to move everything over. The USB side is somewhat frustrating in the sense that the Switch will generally half disconnect in a sense when a file is moved over to the PC, causing the user to have to reconnect it many times in order to transmit all the files over. I think a solution to this could be a batch sending system via Bluetooth that allows many things to transmit over at once. Special number 11. A non-mandatory second screen. And finally, an addition I feel could be quite fun for a Switch successor is dual screens. This could be achieved similar to the DS's clamshell design and protect the screens when closed. Making the second screens non-mandatory would allow developers to normally port over a game whilst allowing Nintendo to re-release things like DS and 3DS games on the system without them being potentially cut down in functionality. Another advantage to a folding dual screen, if done in a specific way, could be for multiplayer. Having the second screen fold over to be a stand and rear display could allow one player on one side and a second on the other playing against each other without the need for split screen during use in tabletop mode. I feel allowing a second screen to enhance the Switch's use, rather than making it a mandatory feature for all developers, would be a good way to keep the Switch successor playing current games, whilst integrating the display in other ways simultaneously. And with that all said, there were my 10 improvements and one fun addition I would like to see on a Switch successor. If anyone has any other ideas, I do not feel I would mind seeing some in the comments. However, for now, I believe that's all from me. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I shall be back in the next one. Cheers everyone!